Well, guess what? I just set up. My flip camera, and here's what I'm gonna do.
Still there?
Yes.
What are you doing with your camera?
Okay. 2 years from now, and today is
Yeah.
October 29th, 2020. Nick and I have been having this conversation for a whole fucking hour and 6 minutes. And we're talking about how 2 years from now, we're going to be looking back on this time and this conversation about politics, Amy, the new judge, and everything that's been pulling people away from being normal people. Whether it's COVID, the election, why are women hating on Judge Amy? And
Yeah.
we were talking about the Girl Scouts, and like they were really coming down on the Girl Scouts, congratulating her as a woman, not a political stance, but still, the Twitter crowd just flew in and say, hey, you can't be doing that. What else did we talk about, Nikki?
What else we talked about? Just basically, how are things going to be different in 2 years? And what we think is very important right now, we may decide isn't such a big deal in 2 years. Or what is it? Well, we also talked about what is it that we're going to know in 2 years that we don't know now.
Right. How
We'll be able to reflect on
how
it.
the energy of different things have been pulling us away from kindness, from truthfulness, from not following the crowd, because when you follow the crowd, if the crowd is hate, you're going to follow hate.
Correct. And then you're going to have to be the cheese stands alone. Are you
Right.
okay? Are you comfortable being the cheese that stands alone because you're standing on principles that you know wholeheartedly are the right thing, regardless of what the crowd is saying?
Yeah.
That's
So
hard to do.
so I'm
That's what you
saying
have to
right
ask
now,
yourself every day.
for 2 years from now, that who the president is isn't as important as the change that we can do through our other elected people. And now I could be totally wrong, and I'm looking forward to whatever we do find out, but I'm saving this so that we can have this conversation without having to rely on our memories, because our memories are not that good, and we may have more CRS 2 years from now.
Speak for yourself, Josue. I think I have a pretty good memory.
Oh,
I am a woman, you know.
you and Jan.
Yeah, I am a woman.
I'm toast. I love you, baby.
I love you too.
No,
Happy
I was
birthday.
talking to Jan in the video. So, I love you, baby.
Oh, I said it back. I spoke for Jan.
So what else about now do we want
What
to
else about now?
be reflective on 2 years from now to say, I can't believe the shit we were thinking and all the looting and burning that's going on. I think that shit has to stop, and people just need to get their shit in a pile, like you say, and say, you know what? If you don't like what's going on, vote.
True, we have to vote, but I also think that we have to get out of the town of denial and be honest about what's happening. And those racism has always been here. It's just the fans have been flamed, and that's why we're seeing more of the rioting and the burnings and the things that are not good for anybody. They're not good for any community, and I feel like we talked about how this whole COVID thing is making you realize what's really valuable and what's really important in life, which is our interpersonal relationships, and the fringy stuff and the stuff that's fluffy and not deep just really doesn't matter. But yet we give a lot of importance to that fluffy stuff.
Oh, and we're also being censored by Facebook, Google, and Twitter.
How are we being censored? I want to know, because I'm not even aware of that.
Oh, they were called before Congress to testify because they have been suppressing conservative posts that talk about Biden. There's information out there on Biden. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, because the media is the one telling me what is or isn't. And so from the Washington Post, if Twitter didn't think it was true or unverified, they would suppress people repeating it. And Facebook does the same thing about suppressing information that people put out that, may not be verified. Well, what truth is verified beyond a shadow of a doubt? I don't think there's anything out there in the social media being spoken that can be 100% truth, except that the Holocaust did happen.
Well, then, okay, so here's my take on that. Then they need to come up with criteria of what they consider to be tried and true. Because the news media used to do that decades and decades ago. They had to have X number of credible, verifying, credible sources before they could print a story as it being true. That was the whole thing with the Watergate scandal. The Watergate scandal was suppressed for so long because they didn't have enough credible sources in order to run the story. That's what, that whole story is about. And we have come so far from that you're right, we throw a lot of crap out there and it hasn't been vetted. So maybe what these sources need to do is they have to come up with a criteria of how do we vet these stories first and foremost, because we have a responsibility to the public not to just throw crap out there and let it act like it's true or not.
So I'm looking forward to see how that gets refined to more truthfulness.
I hope so, but on the other hand, too, are we teaching the public to be critical thinkers and think for themselves?
I would
argue absolutely not. We don't teach that skill. We don't teach it in our schools. There's two things I learned when I went to nursing school. One, I learned how to take the NCLEX, and two, how to be a critical thinker. That's it. That's all nursing school taught me, because everything else they said you're going to learn on the job, which is true.
Yeah.
And so, I'm a better test taker because I have a nursing degree, and I also am more critical of thinking.
Yeah.
So, I'm very careful about my sources. Number one, I don't watch TV news. Why? Because it's sensationalized. I don't want the news to tell me how to think and how to look at stuff. I'm an intelligent, educated, thinking woman. I can figure that out for myself. Thank you very much. I do read 3 sources of paper every day, or I try to, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Star and Trib, because those are credible reporting newspapers.
Yep. Okay.
And and I look at the source on I'm not against Facebook, but I look at the source. If they put an article out on Facebook, I'm like, okay, who's reporting this? What is the source? I mean, those are the things that you're taught to do when you're you're a critical thinker.
Who's driving the narrative and what's the narrative?
Right.
Nobody asked that question. They're like, oh, I saw one this morning on Facebook that Biden was looking to take away the cost basis of selling your house or passing it on to your kids. Like if you paid $100,000 for your house, but now it's worth $200,000, when you died, your kids would get the full benefit of that tax-free $200,000 versus losing the $100,000 gain. And I told the person, it was a good friend of mine, I said, please fact check. I have not found any credible information to substantiate this as truthful. I mean, I didn't blast them or anything. I just because I looked into it, and when I first saw it, probably 3 weeks ago, and there's nothing in there that says that Biden is going to do that or that he can do that, because the taxing of our oh no, that was that's on a federal level. But the other thing was that Biden was going to raise our property taxes by 3 to 5% to help pay for all this other stuff.
Yeah, he doesn't have the ability,
right.
The power to do that because he's on a federal level and
right.
property taxes are based on a local
exactly.
level.
So
again,
that story was crap.
Critical thinking skills. Bravo! I applaud you, Josue.
Thank you very much, Nikki.
Critical thinking skills.
Yep. Jan is finally laughing at the political commercials on the TV, because maybe somebody puts out a commercial and says, oh, this person, they're a lobbyist and they did this, and as that commercial is playing, I just kind of look at Jan. Even though I've already voted, I'll look at Jan and I'm like, can you believe that? I'm not voting for that person. And she's finally laughing at those commercials too.
I want the canoe boat. Remember that rowing canoe?
No.
Oh my gosh, who was in that canoe a couple years ago? and they were rowing the canoe, and they were going past all the smokestacks, and they were ruining the environment. Oh my God, that was so damaging.
I'm gonna have to look it up on YouTube. It's what is it? It's the canoe. Was it a political ad?
Yeah, it was a political ad. I don't even know who was in the canoe anymore, but they were rowing the canoe, and they were polluting the water, and they were rowing past, like, was Biden in that canoe?
Oh, maybe it was what's her name? Tippecanoe.
No.
No,
Oh my God.
Pocahontas. Who's the politician that said she was part Indian but she wasn't?
No, it wasn't. It was white guys that were in the canoe.
Oh.
Because you know what? We got a lot of crony white dudes that are still running for office. We have too many, and we need to get rid of them.
And let's see if we end up with age limits and term limits.
And you know, Kim and I have had that discussion that we need term limits on the Senate, and I don't think that's a bad idea. Because that would get rid of these white old
Senate and Congress.
Careers.
Not
Yeah,
just
that's what
old
we're
white
talking
guys. It would get rid of Nancy
Yeah.
Pelosi. What the hell is she doing there?
Well,
She's too
you
old.
know what?
We need younger people. Period. I don't care who.
We would have younger people. Okay, this is what Kim and I were discussing. Is if we had term limits, yes, we'd have younger people, but then we would also have more candidates, more qualified candidates for the presidency.
Yes.
Is what-
Janet, I said if Buttigieg ran again, we'd vote for him.
Hmm?
If Buttigieg ran, when he runs again,
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say when he runs again, we're going to vote for him.
Oh, yeah, I wanted him.
Yeah.
And, like, the Democrats really messed up. They gave us another white, old, crony white guy.
No, they gave us Kamala Harris. Biden, I have this
Yes.
cartoon.
I was just going to say that that's the only silver lining in this very old, white, crusty male cloud that we're
Yeah.
voting for.
Yeah.
Is, yes, we have her. And the chances of her becoming president at some given point is great, which all comes back to the point of why a lot of people are voting for Trump, because they don't want a black woman as president.
Well,
racism is
Nikki,
very,
I've
very high.
talked to you longer than I have my wife for the whole week.
Well, then that's the problem. You better go talk to your wife.
We'll talk to you later.
Okay, have a great day.
Bye.